What's up, everyone? Back on the On the Wagon podcast. We are on episode 3. Super excited. Our first 2 episodes have been posted to our YouTube page. For me personally, just got back from Miami, back in Wisconsin here. So we are going to hit the ground running today with a few of our war stories now, which in the drinking world is called basically the times that we've gotten blacked out or went on benders. So a little more comedy in this podcast because that's what I want to keep it. I had a few friends reach out to me and said that they're really proud and it's really cool what you're doing. And I asked them, I said, well, I didn't want this to be, super emotional or Debbie Downer type stuff. I wanted to keep it light and know that I'm trying to help people, but also have some comedy too on the side and realize what I've gone through and have a little laughs of making it out of that time of my life. So today, we're gonna go back to 2011 now, right? 23 years old. This would be in January of the Green Bay Packer playoff run, right? So in 2011, the Packers won the Super Bowl, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. So each week that they were advancing, it was basically a bender in itself each weekend. So the cool thing, what I was trying to remember though, is a lot of the stuff I remember from back then. I didn't black out as much, so I kind of remember a lot of the stuff that was happening, but it was a lot of drinking at this period. My birthday's in May of 1987, so that's why I'm still 23 at this point. So really prime drinking years. So let's kind of get into this. So, it was a weekly occurrence at this age that I would be going out to the bars, usually Friday and Saturday for sure. Mix a few Thursdays in there, mix a few Wednesday nights in there. So that was kind of us, still in college. I believe at this time I was living at home back with my mom at the time. I had lived in the college house from 21 and 22. So I'm back on the other side of town from the university. So it wasn't an easy walk home. So people saw, my mom saw me coming in at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, sometimes 6 in the morning. So this was back in my old neighborhood where I was living. So this first week was wild card weekend. The Packers played the late game on Sunday versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Packers were the 6th seed. So nobody really gave them much of a chance, to advance even out of the first week. So I used to always remember, like, God, I love watching the Packer games all the time, but I always hated being hungover for them. Well, at this time, I was always hungover for the games. So we went out Saturday night, typical occurrence. Woke up the next day, it was Sunday. I remember one of my buddies who was also back at home for the weekend, I believe, because he had gone to school at a different college. He was like, hey, let's get some people over. Let's come over to my house. The game was a 3:30 kickoff. We'll have a few bloodies and hang out. Great. It was just down the street from me. Went and hung out there. Packers pulled it out. They beat Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it was like 21-16. Great game. But, we had a few drinks. Probably didn't eat much again, like usual. I think a couple slices of pizza, frozen pizza. But a few of us decided, hey, let's go to the bars, which, we ended up going to Molly Maguire's here. So in Oshkosh, this was like the big dance club. But, it's Sunday, so we're not talking major party scene. But we knew that they had, a big Packer gathering, so we thought people would be so fired up for the big upset win of the Packers. So a couple of us went out. A couple of us are like, I don't know how you guys are going out. I'm so hungover from last night. But, a couple Bloody Marys, and you start feeling good again. Go to Molly's, just get absolutely annihilated, basically. Keep drinking. There was actually a pretty big crowd in there. There was actually some girls dancing and stuff, and just a fun party atmosphere. They had a DJ in there, and I remember, just being really, pretty drunk. Probably about, so the game ended probably about 6 o'clock. We're out at Molly's. I would say around 9:30. All of a sudden, my mom walks into Molly's, pulls me off the dance stage. It just says, hey, we're going home now. So somehow I must have got contacted that I was out again drinking. So my mom, comes in and in front of everybody and pulls me out of there at 23 years old. So how embarrassing is that? Get home, nothing bad happened, but it's like, oh my God, this is Sunday. You're out drinking again. probably 100% chance that I did not go to work the next day. So that was week one. Funny story there. You got your mom coming into a college bar, pulling you off the dance floor, being drunk again after the second night in a row. So that was week one. So the Packers then went on to play the Atlanta Falcons, who was the 1 seed. Nobody thought they were going to come into Atlanta, and Green Bay just absolutely smashes them, right? Just absolutely steamrolls them. Just a huge victory. This week, nothing really was that bad. I don't think we actually went out that Friday night before the game because we were pretty fired up. So we were kind of planning, a big get together for the game. This was a Saturday night game now, so this was like a 7:15 kickoff. So we went to the same buddy's house. Had a good time, had drinks and stuff, and watching the Packers just absolutely steamroll was absolutely awesome. They won. We hit out to the bar, college bars, probably about 9:30. Got a safe ride out there. That was probably about 5 or 6 of us, usual crew. Great night. Nothing bad occurred that night. Just typical stay out till 2:33 in the morning, and then you're back at your parents' house. Somebody gave us a ride home. I don't know, remember who, but the thing about that I'm trying to like relay myself like, oh, okay, it's something triggered that. So I go back and look at who the Sunday games were that day. And so the Packers moved on to the NFC Championship game. They could not play a home game. So I think I go back and look, and sure enough, it was the Seattle Seahawks were at Chicago, the Bears, who ended up beating Seattle, and that's how this Chicago Green Bay game got. But I remember I was we might have got back pretty late. It might have been later than that. We might have went to an A bar somewhere. But I remember sleeping all the way through Sunday through that game, and I remember waking up at like 4 in the afternoon, and I'm like checking my phone, like, okay, who the Packers play? Because I remember the AFC playoff game was on in the afternoon. It was probably the Patriots, but I ended up seeing the Bears one. So again, it's just sleeping all day Sunday, just totally ruining the day for being total super hungover. But that was, that was the life. When I'm usually really hungover, I don't sleep all day. I just lay around. So, and I don't sleep in super late either. So that was very odd. So I don't know what kind of drinks we were having that night, but that really put me out until almost 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So the Packers move on. This is where it starts getting really messy here these next 2 weeks. So now we're in the NFC Championship game, right? At this time, I'm coaching basketball, too, at a local high school here. So I remember we go out Saturday night. So this is a week later. So remember, none of the playoff games, there's a week break. There's none. It's just, we play the next week until this following week, which is then the Super Bowl, which obviously they give a week of rest. So go out Saturday night, do the typical, what we do every weekend. Go out and get bombed and hammered and have a lot of laughs. But we're not sleeping much. I remember, so on Sundays when we coach, we usually would practice at noon or right after noon. So, for church and stuff like that. So I remember the Packers had the 2 o'clock game. Yeah, I believe 2:30 game. They played the Bears in the NFC Championship game. So had practice, wasn't feeling too bad. I remember at practice, just really tired. But then I was going over to my dad's house to watch the NFC Championship game. Wasn't planning on drinking, wasn't planning on anything. Well, then the Packers prevailed for the first Super Bowl appearance in quite a long time, and we started drinking. At my dad's, had a couple beers and had some kind of mix, a couple shots or whatever. All of a sudden, the texts start raining. Hey, we're at downtown. We're in Oshkosh. Let's come to a few bars. Now this was another group of friends. So me and my dad come down there, go down. We're having a great time. I'm sure we're ripping shots. But all of a sudden it's like, okay, now it's like 7, 8 o'clock at night. I am absolutely plastered. Like I don't really remember much that was going on there. But apparently, after I left, I had gone outside. Now, I don't know if I was kicked out of this bar or what exactly, but I had gone outside, and those cigarette containers that people put their smokes in, apparently I picked that up and tossed it. Well, that caused an issue, obviously. So as they were trying to drag me out of this place before I got into trouble, even more out of the parking lot, I actually just kind of like collapsed and fell down and scraped my face up pretty good. I remember. So I had like road rash because they were trying. It was just like a lifeless body, which I was awake, but I just like I don't know what happened. So once I got back on my feet, we were walking back to I don't know somebody's house, and then I ended up kicking some guy's car on the way home. Like just absolute ridiculous what was happening. So the next morning, I wake up and I'm like, I really don't have any recollection of it, but my face is really messed up. Like I have like a pretty big scar and cut underneath my eye. I had like this road rash burn. So that put me out of work for a few days because here I got this thing on my face that I'm trying to repair that put me out of coaching for a few days. So yeah, I think I probably didn't get back to the swing of things till Thursday. Miraculously, my face like super healed up really fast. I was putting aloe on. I was putting all these like different kind of gels and oils on, and it actually healed up my face because I was worried about scarring. Because here we go, like, come on, like you got that drunk that we're getting dragged through a parking lot basically after a freaking playoff win. So that was the worst one out of everything. Like that was one of my ultimate rock bottom times. But I didn't actually stop drinking. But when you're looking back at it, almost 10 years ago now or 9 years ago, holy cow, like just absolutely horrible. Like what are you doing with yourself? And you shouldn't be drinking this much. And this is what's happening when you're drinking. So that was like I still have kind of flashbacks of that night. Like, oh my gosh, like just proud that I'm out of that phase and just that as much as that was bad throwing and I remember the bar owner coming out just screaming at me about throwing that thing. It's just like I could have didn't get charged for it obviously, but it's like come on, like it's time to start growing up. Well, the next week it was a week off. I'm sure I went out. I don't remember what we did, but I'm sure I went out because that was the between the Super Bowl. So now leading into the Super Bowl week, I had a couple of people reach out to me and say, hey, do you want to go up to Green Bay for the Super Bowl? Okay. Apparently that Stadium View bar, which is awesome, big bar up in Green Bay, if you get up there by 11 a.m., you can get a table, and it's just a huge party up there, right? Just absolutely huge. But you got to sit there from 11 until kickoff to guarantee you got a table. So a few guys decided that we're going to do this, right? And one guy got a hotel room for us, so we didn't have to drive home. Great. Well, that means I have to take off work on Monday again. So I actually scheduled the day off on Monday, but I did have basketball practice on Monday after the Super Bowl. So what happened here? So went out the night before, of course. Get picked up. Me and a friend of mine went from Oshkosh, got picked up by a couple guys. Went probably about 10:30 in the morning. I remember all I ate that day all day was like a can of soup before going to this thing, right? Like I had to eat something before heading up there. We got a table up at Stadium View. It was already filling up, but it was like a mixed crowd. It wasn't all like college kids. It was more, I'd say like middle age, 30s to 40s, people were up there and just casually drinking, eating. We did eat up there and stuff, but so we were just drinking Coors Lights, right? All day. Coors Light just kept coming and coming and coming, and we were just having a blast, like waiting for this kickoff. So about 2 hours before kickoff, we're probably talking about probably about 3:30, the Jaeger bombs start coming out, right? Because now we're all feeling great. We're excited for this kickoff. The atmosphere is just awesome. So now we start pounding Jaeger bombs. Great, still having a good time. I'm feeling good. Just a lot of laughs, just a ton of laughs. So then when kickoff hits, we get a shot of Rumpelmans, right? And that's kind of where this is all. Now it's like, here we go. Now we're in prime drinking during the game. So now the game's going on. Like you're drinking more because you're nervous, but we gotta remember these are my prime drinking. So I remember everything from this night, but I'm extremely drunk. So what we do then, Packers go on to win, like they hold on to win. It's just crazy, like everything that you see in the streets after a Super Bowl win in these cities put it into one big, huge bar, like just awesome. All of a sudden the band starts playing. Well, the band is CWA, Cheeseheads with Attitude, for you Wisconsin people, like just classic songs that you grew up on. Everybody's out dancing, women are out dancing, moms are out dancing, older guys are out dancing, the college kids and college girls are in there dancing. Just an ultimate time. So all of a sudden now we're like, okay, where are we going next? Where are we going next? It all kind of funnels out into the street, Lombardi Avenue out in that way where all the bars are. It's awesome. It's something I'll never forget. Like, it was an actual good time. Nothing bad really happened on this thing. It was just an ultimate experience. So we decided to go downtown Green Bay, which is really basically a shithole, I would say, for bars. It's more towny bars down there. I think we were probably trying to look to go to the Oval Office, which is a gentleman's club downtown, but they were closed on Sundays, of course. So we make it into this bar. It's this kind of a hole-in-the-wall bar. The first one we go to, we're all feeling really good. We're drinking, sit down next to these couple older ladies. They start talking. We say, hey, we're from Oshkosh. I make up some stupid story that I'm the Oshkosh Bagosh's owner, or the founder's grandson, or some bullshit like that. I remember that story to a T. So I'm buying them drinks, shots. We head to the next bar, which ended up being a hole-in-the-wall strip club. It was like $5 cover to get in. I don't remember too much of, but it was just a wild, crazy time. But the Packers have won the Super Bowl. It was just a great experience. So we go to a few other bars. So all of a sudden, somehow, our hotel is back towards Lambeau Field, the Lambeau Field district, and we're kind of downtown. So we get in the cab to go back, and the bars are still open, right? There's no closing. So it was just, and now we're talking probably 1:30, 2 in the morning. Bars are still open, and they're hard to get these people out because it's just a huge party from the Super Bowl. So there's multiple hotels around here, right? So somehow I'm not with the same group of people. I'm with some other group of people that I latched on, not from Oshkosh. I'm in contact with the people I'm with. They're like, oh, we're at the hotel bar. Okay, so I go to the hotel bar. They're not in there. Well, so then I go to the front desk. I said, hey, I'm staying in this hotel, probably slurring my words. And like, no, we have no name under that. Well, come to find out, I'm at the wrong hotel completely. Somehow we get mixed up. So now I'm like texting on my phone, like, what hotel is this? Like, not a great situation by that, but I know it's within the area. So I'm sitting out in the lobby with a bunch of other drunk people so finally the hotel manager comes and said, hey, you guys got to go. If you're not staying here, you go. So now I'm back in the streets looking for the road. There's still a ton of people out, so I'm not by myself, which is good, but you never know. Make it back to the hotel and find out what the thing. So we get up to our room. Now in our room, we got random people in our room here. Now we're talking 4:35 in the morning. It was just an absolute epic, wild night. So we sleep for a few hours, get back on Monday. Monday morning comes, we go grab breakfast. We get back to Oshkosh, no problem. Like I said, nothing extreme. But so now I'm like, okay, I'm not working today. I'm just feeling horrible. Like terrible hangover. I get a call from the basketball coach, who is also sick, and he's literally got the stomach flu, so he can't be at practice. So then he's like, well, you got two options. You can just go sit there, or you can cancel practice. So then I'm like, well, what time's practice? They're like, well, I pushed it back. So thank God they pushed the practice back to like 6 o'clock. And I think I just sat in a chair the whole time and let the kids scrimmage. But I'll never forget that time. Ultimate playoff bender. So like I said, really just a wild 4 weeks. But the bad one came on that NFC Championship game that Sunday where I got all cut up. But all this stuff kind of adds up. Like you don't think about it at the time. Like I didn't think about it. Like I kind of thought more about it after when you cut your face up by getting dragged across the ground. Like you start thinking about, well, maybe this isn't the best options I'm doing here or the best choices I'm making. But going into that, like looking back now, I'm like, holy cow, I would never do that. And now like being sober through the NFL playoffs this year. And getting to watch for the most part, every Packer game not hungover, like it was awesome. Like actually having a good feeling, going to the grocery store on Sundays, making dinner on Sundays, watching football, keeping track of your fantasy instead of just taking naps all day and sleeping. Because that's what most of my last 12 years was on Sundays, was just wasting the day. So really excited about Sundays now. Like that comes true and dear to my heart because it's like, all right, I'm sober now. I can actually do stuff. I can work out. I can lift weights. I can. I've been working out with my mom and sister in the mornings. On Sunday mornings, I go in the grocery store with Jen, like taking the dog for walks, like just actual like good, clean, fun stuff that I would never did because I was always hungover. So that was the Packer playoff bender. It's fun to think about now. Like I said, that Super Bowl was just a wild time, and then even going back to the wild card weekend where my mom's pulling me out of a college bar on a Sunday night. An epic bender run on my part. But for this week, I got a wedding coming up this weekend of one of Jen's cousins. So that'll be interesting because I haven't been to a wedding since being sober. But I know I'm going to be with Jenny, and so that will help me come. I'm not too worried about that one. But you never know when you're around. Weddings in Wisconsin tend to get pretty rowdy. So it's going to be interesting to go to a wedding and not drink. I don't think I've ever done that in my entire life besides before I was, in high school probably, or, even in late high school years, I was probably had a beer or two. So interesting weekend coming up, but excited for it. It'll be good people that are getting married. So after that, next week we will do another pod. I don't know what we're going to do yet. We might actually Jenny wants to come on the pod and kind of talk about how living with somebody that's in recovery and living with somebody who's not drinking anymore. Jenny was always like, it's really weird for her, I think, because she's like, oh gosh, like she can handle her drinking. Like she can handle one or two at a sitting or one at lunch or dinner, like when we're on vacation, and is fine with it. But she always feels like obligated, like, oh, I shouldn't be drinking. I'm like, no, don't. This is my life. You can't change your thing. Like you can handle it. That's fine. So that went really smooth this weekend. She had a couple drinks all week only, but that didn't bother me one bit. So I was just doing coffee buffet. So if you ever see #coffee that's my new thing, is having all kinds of different coffees. We had Cuban coffee there. We had espressos. We had all kinds of cool stuff. So when you see coffee buffet on my Instagram, that's kind of what I'm doing now. Just pounding the coffee instead of the booze, which is fine by me. Anyways, that will kind of wrap up this week's episode. Fun one. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. More of a laugh. If you want to listen to this pod, maybe listen to it at work with some headphones on. Not saying anything too bad, but one of my ultimate benders. Had to get this one out right away. So like I said, don't forget about our Instagram page, our YouTube page. Also actually going to be promoting, I'm actually creating an event that's going to be coming up in March. I'm going to announce maybe next week, which I want everybody that listens to the pod to join us. It's going to be a really fun event, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, on the wagon, just remember, if you don't drink today, can't get drunk today. Signing off.